My name is Gaius Julius Caesar. To some, I became the savior of Rome. To others, its destroyer. But the truth is always more complex than simple labels. I was born in Rome in the year 102 before our era into a patrician family, though not a wealthy one. We descended from the Julii, who traced their lineage to Aeneas, son of the goddess Venus. Heritage carried obligations. My childhood passed in turbulent times. Rome was torn by internal conflicts, conspiracies, and civil wars. People died not only on battlefields but also in the city's streets. I learned early, life is a struggle. Without strength and allies, you are nothing. At 17, I married the daughter of Lucius Cornelius Cinna, a leader of the Popular Party. This was a union to strengthen my position, but danger followed. The dictator Sulla came to power in Rome. He ordered me to divorce. I refused. For that, I was stripped of my inheritance and placed on the proscription lists. My name could have cost me my life. I was forced to hide. Forest paths, strangers' homes, fear at every turn. This was the start of my adult life. Only through the intervention of powerful friends was I pardoned. But I remembered, never fully trust those who hold the sword. Went to serve in Asia. There I took part in the siege of Mytilene. For my bravery, I was awarded the civic crown, an honorable distinction. It was a sign. I was no longer just an exile. I was on the path to greatness. On my way back to Rome, I was captured by pirates. They held me for ransom. I behaved not as a prisoner, but as a master. I promised that once freed, I would return and crucify them all. They laughed. But when I gained my freedom, I equipped ships, found them, and fulfilled my promise. It was a lesson to all. My words were never empty. Back in Rome, I began building my career. I became an advocate, known for my passionate speeches and ability to sway the crowd. I understood. In Rome, words can be sharper than swords. I climbed steadily. Positions, connections, obligations. I knew that in this city, victory belongs not only to the strong, but also to those who can forge alliances. I followed the traditional Roman career path. I was questor, then aedile. I organized magnificent games, festivals, and competitions. The people remembered me. I spared no expense, for I was not buying entertainment, I was buying a future. My debts grew, but I knew power would repay everything. I became Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest. This brought me even greater popularity. I understood that Rome loved rituals as much as spectacles. At 39, I was sent to Spain as propraetor. There, I saw statues of Alexander the Great and reflected, at his age, he had conquered the world while I had only begun. That thought became a burning pain and drove me for the rest of my life. Upon returning, I ran for consul. To win, I formed a secret alliance, the First Triumvirate, with Crassus, the richest man in Rome, and Pompey, the greatest general of the time. The three of us ruled Rome, concealing it behind the facade of the Republic. After securing the consulship, I obtained an appointment as proconsul in Gaul. I was given 2 provinces, Cisalpine Gaul and Illyricum. Later, Transalpine Gaul was added. I knew this was my chance. I began the Gallic War. It lasted 8 years. I did not merely conquer tribes. I reshaped the map of the world. I marched through forests, rivers, and mountains. I fought against fierce barbarians who united for one purpose: my death. The battle at Bibracte, the capture of Atuatuca, the siege of Gergovia, the great assault on Alesia, where I surrounded Vercingetorix's forces in their fortress, and then encircled the enemies surrounding me. We built fortifications stretching tens of kilometers. It was a test of will. Gaul fell. I expanded Rome's borders to the ocean. I crossed the Rhine twice, building a bridge over that great river for the first time. I crossed the Channel and landed in Britain. No one before me had done this. I did not seek war for war's sake. I sought glory, a place in eternity. While I built an empire in the north, things were different in Rome. Crassus died in Parthia. Pompey became my sole rival. The Senate, fearing my power, demanded I return to Rome without my army. They hoped to judge me, to break me. I stood on the banks of the Rubicon River. Before me was a choice: submit and vanish, or move forward, breaking the law. I looked at my soldiers. They believed in me, and then I said, "The die is cast." We crossed the Rubicon. That was the moment the Civil War began. I marched through Italy. Cities surrendered without a fight. Pompey and the Senate fled to Greece. I occupied Rome, but I knew this was not the end. To become the master, I had to defeat all enemies. And so, I set out to the east. I set out after Pompey across the Adriatic Sea. We met on the fields of Thessaly at Pharsalus. His army was larger. Senators, noble knights, commanders, they stood with him. But I believed in my soldiers. I had trained them for years. I ordered them to stand and wait, not to attack until the enemy was close. That command saved us. Pompey's cavalry broke through our ranks, but my 6th cohort withstood the blow and then struck back. Pharsalus was my victory. Pompey fled to Egypt. I followed. But when I arrived in Alexandria, they brought me his head. The Egyptians had killed him, hoping to please me. I took no joy in it. I saw Pompey as an enemy, but I respected him. His death in a foreign land was a disgrace to us all. I was drawn into the whirlpool of Egyptian intrigues. Princess Cleopatra was fighting for the throne against her brother. I supported her. Our alliance was not only political. I stayed in Egypt longer than planned. Cleopatra bore a son, Caesarion. I knew Rome would not accept an Egyptian queen as its ruler. But at the time, I believed I could change even that. Returning to Rome, I began reforms. I pardoned many of my enemies. I wanted peace. I resettled veterans, regulated debts, and reformed the calendar. My new Julian calendar left a mark for centuries. Its influence is still felt today. I held triumphs, festivals, and passed laws. I expanded the Senate and granted rights to the province's inhabitants. But the higher I rose, the more those who called themselves defenders of the Republic feared me. I was proclaimed dictator for 10 years, then for life. They bestowed titles upon me, elevating me to the status of a demigod. They offered me a crown. I refused, but the shadow of royal power hung over me. Many feared I would destroy the Republic for good and become a king. Among the conspirators were those I had once helped. They spoke of freedom, but envy filled their hearts. I knew of the discontent. I was warned, but I believed fear outweighed the desire for betrayal. I was wrong. On the 15th of March, 44th year before our era, on the Ides of March, I went to the Senate. They told me not to go. They handed me notes with warnings. I did not read them. When I entered the Curia of Pompey, they surrounded me. Casca struck first, then blows rained down from all sides. Among the assassins was Brutus, whom I considered almost a son. I did not resist for long. In the moment of death, I felt not pain, but betrayal. My body lay at the foot of Pompey's statue, the man I had defeated. History wove our fates together in cruel irony. But death was not the end. My name became legend. My reforms outlived me. My enemies were destroyed by my followers. Octavian, my adopted son, avenged me and became Rome's first emperor. I was neither solely a destroyer nor a creator. I was one who accepted the world as it was and tried to make it eternal. I understood, a lone man cannot change everything, but a lone man can leave a mark that shapes the future. I was Gaius Julius Caesar. I came, I saw, I conquered, and even death could not erase my name. What do you think of me after learning my story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe, like the video, and stay tuned. We're not saying goodbye yet.